Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Unmuted. Woo! Yeah, that is going to be our second last time saying that. That's sad. That's very sad. Anyways.
What happened?
We're just, the season's coming to an end.
Oh, but there'll be a next season.
If someone wants to pick it up later. To be determined. Yeah.
TBD.
You guys aren't gonna keep going?
Well, I've let what?
No, not for now. We're gonna pause here right now. But anyone who wants to pick it up in the future,
so sad.
let us know. Yeah, because unfortunately, a bunch of us are graduating and all that.
Gosh, I feel like you guys should have told me before that. I gotta process this.
I'm sure you'll be featured in next time again. So, anyways,
I might not want to with the new host.
You will. They're gonna be just as great as us.
Of course.
All right.
Okay.
So my name's Giselle. I am a teen here in TC Youth, and today I am accompanied hosting with
Chloe, another teen. And today we are here for another ministry talk with our lead pastors.
Woo! Round of applause, guys. We have here
Alex.
Pastor Alex, yes,
And I'm Janay. Pastor Janay, if that's what you want to say.
Yeah. And they are our lead pastors here at this church, the Collective Church, which we all go to. Yes. Okay. So, since we've already introduced ourselves, how was your day? Just wanted to ask.
Great.
How's your day been?
Good. We
Good.
had an awesome staff meeting this
Today's
morning.
Wednesday. Right?
Yes. So it's staff meeting. It was great.
Did you guys do a workout?
We didn't today. Normally we do workouts,
Okay.
right? And sometimes they're tougher than others.
Yeah.
But today we were just having, I don't know, just some time of prayer and worship that was longer. We got to pray with all of our staff and just, I don't know, give a lot of space and room.
Right.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah,
About
for
like
the
2
Holy
hours
Spirit
long.
to do what He wanted to
2
do.
hours.
So it was really
Yeah,
good.
it was wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good.
So just like prayer with everyone and just
Yeah, we started out with worship. Normally that was during our Devo time. So usually Alex will come and teach some to the staff, but it's like a place where, because it is staff, like it can have, it's always the same tone of love and to obviously to help grow us, but it can get a little bit more direct, which is always so nice. But this Devo time, he decided, let's just give it some more space. So it was kind of like worship. He taught a bit about the Holy Spirit, and then we went into prayer, worship. So it was kind of flowing that way.
Okay. So that's kind of the flow here that you guys get in, like within the staff of TC, I guess. Yeah.
That's a great way to start this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of the flow. I mean, so you guys were supposed to have a workout, but then you didn't. Or
Yes.
because you were
Oh, well, we canceled it in
engaged
advance,
with
because we knew that this might be a little bit longer of a devotional time. So yeah.
Right. Okay. So like, speaking of that, speaking of like devos and just connecting with one another and all of that, I wanted to ask, like, what are the Collective Church's like core values? What does it revolve around? You know, I mean, of course, Jesus, but
Yeah. So we have what we call them the family values.
family values.
And that is we, not me. You can sit with us, and always Jesus.
Those are in the cups.
We love it.
Those are on the cups.
Those are on the cups.
I feel like everyone, we've all heard them so many times,
all of the hashtags.
right? Yeah. But it's one of those things that I think with values, family values, core values, whatever, it's one of those things that you can say them, but you have to guard them. You know what I mean? Because it's so easy that you start to like kind of go exactly.
Yeah, right.
Like so we're always talking about them here, and we, really kind of lean everything back into those, the things that like we build, the things that we do. And so, I mean, always Jesus. It always goes back to him, right?
Yeah, but even that one, it's tricky, man. Listen, people with the best intentions
Yeah.
will come and try to like share thoughts and ideas. Sometimes because they're insecure, they'll call them convictions of God when they're not. They're just an idea.
Oh.
And what happens is those things can detract from the convictions of those family values. Like, for instance, the value, you can sit with us.
Yeah.
What does that mean? that means that anybody from any background, from any history, any struggle has a home here. But then sometimes people will come to us in the church and they'll say, Pastor Alex, I noticed that there's a lot of, these types of people that come to TC. And sometimes there's people, and I heard about that person and they, I heard that they did this and they struggled with this. And, should we be worried? And that may come from a genuine space, but that can quickly become, that could break the value. That could break the value that, hey, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, you have a home here, you can sit with us. Even the value, always Jesus. Because you guys are really mature Christians, so I know you'll get this, right? Is sometimes people of faith have different kind of passions about faith. Some people I'm really passionate about prayer, and I'm really passionate about this, what I mean? And they get super amped up about that. And that's so great. But quickly and easily, those religious disciplines or spiritual disciplines that are so awesome, they can become idols in our life that can actually detract from us running to Jesus.
Instead.
Go to these disciplines that we have. And then we might get a sense of I do all these right things, so why isn't my life like this? Well, your life isn't any sort of way because of your right decisions. It's because God loves you and he has grace for your life and he cares for you, right? And it's slight drifting off. But what I always say is that if you're a ship in the ocean and you have 2 degrees of separation from your course, even though it starts off as a very slight change, it can drift further and further and further away. And before you know it, you're way off course. So we really try to guard those values really, really well.
So I guess it's kind of difficult to make sure that it's spread out, I guess, for the values to be, how do you say it? To keep them
and kind of to be seen everywhere.
Because it's hard to keep on maintaining them throughout everyone because everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different background, all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So
but we do. I think that's something that I really love getting to see in all the different things that are going on here, right? If it's youth, if it's the prayer team. It's
a bunch of ministries.
Love in the street. There's so much stuff going on. But I think that you can see those values in all those teams. And so it takes all of us guarding it and, sometimes having hard conversations and asking good questions, being
And have these values changed over time, would you say? Or has the perspective of them changed over time? Or let's turn back time a little bit to when TC first started. I mean, when did you first join TC? And
so 2011 we moved here from California as the kids pastors.
Right. Oh yeah,
I remember that. I know.
Yeah, you guys should remember that.
So at that time,
all these little babies in here, all of them. I know all these little babies. Not you. You weren't a kid here.
I know.
And now you're all grown.
So that time, the core values, we didn't have those core values.
We didn't have them yet.
No. So it took a few years before that, before we sat down and made those.
A big inspiration of that was that we were growing, but our trajectory, it didn't have as much focus. So they say that what's so crazy is in the body, our physical body, they say that all cancer is a uncontrolled or undirected growth of cells. That's it. True. So it's the cells that multiply and grow without the discipline of the rest of the body, right? And an organization or a church, it can grow, but that doesn't always necessarily mean that it's healthy. And we wanted to make sure that when the church was growing, that it had values to support that growth, to keep the health, even as it continued to grow. And so that was about 8 or 9 years ago, I think, that we sat down as a team and we worked some of those out.
Prayed about them. The core value, God, what is this supposed to look like? I think that's always a good thing to do. I mean, we can come up with good ideas, but that doesn't always mean that's what God wanted us to do. You know what I mean? It's not always a God idea. And so I think you have to sit down, there's great wisdom in a lot of things, but really say, God, what do you want this to look like?
Amen.
And then out of that, those core values were kind of birthed.
Works out.
And then it's okay, so if this is what you want it to look like, we're we're going to keep aligning it back to these.
Okay.
I really like your sweater, Janay. Your sweatshirt's so cute. I just noticed it.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, you look really adorable today.
Wow.
Anyways,
so
Side note,
ever since you guys like sat down with, was it like the staff back then?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like almost 10 years ago, you said.
Yep.
Yeah.
Almost 10 years ago. I feel like by now you guys can have already gained a good perspective of how much TC has like
grown, how much
Yeah.
how much, and then how would you say it has grown, in like what way and how much since you
ever since the values were implemented.
Wow. I think it's grown a lot. Obviously, yes, it's grown in size, but I think it's grown in culture. I think we had those values helped us establish the culture. Because one, our church, it's filled with a whole bunch of people from all kinds of cultures. You know what I mean? It's an international church. So there's like people from all over the place.
Honestly.
It's awesome, right? It's awesome.
Great.
But oftentimes we can, even if you look at the culture of your own family growing up, we can get used to something and be like, oh, this is normal, but maybe that's not what God calls normal, you know? And so establishing having an international church, it's interesting because people could be like, oh, well, no, it should be this way, this way, this way. Yeah. That's why you kind of have to go back to God and say, God, like, what's your kingdom culture?
Yeah, above everybody's normal.
Yeah, what is your culture? Because that culture trumps all the other culture.
Yeah.
And then you kind of go back to that and say, okay, what does that look like for us? How can we show that? And so it took us a long time to establish culture.
Of course.
Because, there's so much other things kind of feeding into it.
Yeah.
But I think now we see that. I think TC has a strong culture. I mean, I would say, right, those core values, you can sit with us, always Jesus, and we, not me, but are huge things. Because I feel like one of the best compliments we get is when people come in and they may not believe the same thing. They may be on their journey of faith and be like, I don't know what I believe.
On a different level, right?
And that's completely fine, but they feel safe here.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, I feel like this is home. I feel like you guys are like real people.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I get that.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to be, as a pastor, I want people to be able to like sit and connect with me and not be like, oh my goodness, like so scared.
Yeah, like,
I
she's a
can't
pastor.
I'm like, I've heard swear words before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people, they can't talk how they would normally talk. Now we know that for all of us, like, I mean, I have known you guys for a long time, so I've seen you grow up and change.
Yeah.
And
blossom into amazing young women of the Lord.
Even in our walk with God, like God is always doing
so
something, and He's growing us, and amazing things happen, and we transform. But He loves us right where we're at.
Yeah.
Just as much, always. And so we want to provide that space where people can feel at home, and they can feel like they can be authentic and real.
Yeah.
And then when they're safe, I believe then they're going to encounter Jesus, and the Holy Spirit does His thing and transforms.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It
right?
requires a safe environment for proper growth.
Yeah,
that's true.
Right? You think about a healthy household for kids, right? If kids, and they've shown this, especially in the foster system in the U.S., when kids aren't surrounded with a healthy environment, their maturity and their growth is always stunted or limited, if not physically, emotionally, or mentally.
Yeah,
right? But when there's a safe surrounding and a safe environment, then you see this incredible opportunity for holistic growth in people. Yeah. And that's what we want to create for people, a safe place where people can grow according to the pace of the Spirit of God working in them.
Right.
Yes.
And like speaking of safe environments, of course we all have our own like preferred, like obviously age groups, right? Yeah. I mean, you can't just put like a kid in the main service and expect them to understand everything.
Sure. Yeah.
Or like a toddler, like they would be out of place. So that's why we have our ministries. We have young, we have
all
youth.
these different ministries for young youth too. And then we've talked with leaders of each of the ministries on here before with in our previous ministry talks. And so what other ministries do we have besides so we've had TCI and then young and youth, and TC Space and Love in the Streets.
Nice.
I love Love
We've
in the
talked to-
Streets.
Yes,
me too.
We've talked to all of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've talked to each of those ministries here before, and now since you guys are basically like the leader of it all,
leader.
yeah, basically, yeah. What other ministries do we have, and yeah, what do you guys think of them?
Oh, I mean, I could be biased, but I try not to be biased.
Okay.
I love church.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
churches.
Yeah.
I love being a champion of the church and going in no matter where. So I feel like one of the things in our culture is that we are that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're never going to talk bad about something else or be whatever.
of course.
But man, we are like, of course, feel amazing about our church, right? So like care and counsel. We have an
yeah.
incredible care and counsel team
yes.
that I don't get to always see in a lot of places where people can come in, even if they're not a part of our church.
Whether they believe in Jesus, they go to church, it doesn't matter.
And just get help and counseling. And we have incredible like trained counselors, psychologists. They can help people where they're at process. Grief and loss.
Grief and loss.
Hospitality team.
It's
we
crazy.
have TCI.
Yeah, they
right?
said TCI. They already know
Oh, you
about
said TCI. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot. We're
That's
probably
awesome.
not thinking of all of them because I
Yeah.
know we have so many, but of course, like our connect
We have our
groups.
counting team that counts the offering. When everyone else leaves, everyone
They
goes
stay
home.
back.
They stay
Yeah.
back
Wow,
after
that's-
4 services
Wow.
and count dirty money.
That
Yeah.
I mean, not all money is
That
dirty,
takes
but
a
most
lot
of it's
of
pretty
that.
dirty. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
Shout out Ibunandi. Right? It's like we, like just in every way. We have so many people helping in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Media, production, the camera people.
The coffee bar.
The coffee
Yeah,
bar.
what is that?
Yeah, there you go. Like these are the people that oftentimes people don't realize or don't see or aren't aware of. And they do it so much. I mean, we have, I think right now, in general, I think we have about 350 volunteers that are actively serving.
350 volunteers.
You know, and they are giving their time and their life and their energy just because of Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, just to serve others and to love others and to care for others. And that is a miracle in itself.
That's true.
That is a miracle in itself. If you think about it like this, like a church does not have nearly the amount of staff to do what it does. A church almost never has nearly the amount of finances to do what it does.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, this is nuts. Every week we just show up and we expect that people are just going to give their money. And that's how we're going to pay the rent. Imagine if you were signing a lease on an apartment and your landlord was like, how are you going to pay the rent? You're like, well, I'm just going to believe that every week God's going to provide. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's the church of Jesus.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens. People show up and they give their life. People show up and they are generous financially. They use their gifts. They connect. They serve. It's a miracle every single week to see what God does and provides for his family.
Yeah. And in the services and outside of,
Well,
right?
yeah, not only in church, everywhere.
Church isn't just like a Sunday. There's
Yeah.
so much life in our church that goes so far
goes
beyond
out, yeah.
the walls of the church. And I think that's what's so cool is really this, like we carry the presence of God with us everywhere we go, into every sphere, into all the places, when we're in the coffee shop, you know what I mean? When we get up, we're at school, we're out. So I feel like when people understand that, and they're like, this is who I am the church everywhere I go, that's a pretty cool thing. And so we get to see that. Yeah. And we just really couldn't do what we're doing, and I think that's what God's called us to do, is everyone play their part, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's really cool how the church always provides like a safe environment through anything we're a part of, whether we're volunteering or we're just
coming,
taking part and coming to church.
Yeah.
Honestly, everyone here feels so like they're a part of something. It's part of something way bigger than they are, you know? And it's great. Honestly, even
I
those
love to hear you say that.
even those values they shown upon like us teens from TC Youth. And with that, I just wanted to ask you guys, like, what do you think about the teen ministry?
Ooh. Well, I mean, you guys are okay.
No, we love you. Yeah.
No, so
Okay.
can
Okay.
let me
That's
ask you
okay.
guys a question. Why don't you, and I want to answer your question, but I will
Okay.
later. Why don't you tell me how have those values affected you guys? Just you two.
Oh, us. Okay. Chloe, would you like to?
Can you give me a minute to think? You should
Sure. Everyone's like, we all
You don't
need
have
a
to,
minute
maybe
to
not all
think.
3 of them, but maybe one of them. Has there been a value that's really affected you? And I want to hear about it.
I think one of them is the you can sit with us value. I
Yeah.
think that's one of the all of them are strong suits here in TC Youth, but then like I think the strong suit value in TC Youth is you can sit with us. Because I think in TC Youth, no matter what, we're all teenagers, right? So that's one thing that we're all like, that's how we all connect with each other.
Yeah.
But that's not the main thing. Obviously, the way we all connect to each other is through Christ. It's not just because we're in the same age group, but that's just something that kind of helps us relate to one another a little bit more, because obviously if we're just with the adults, we have different experiences in different stages of our lives. And yeah, so that's why I think the you can sit with us value is something that is so strong and so valuable here in TC Youth. I think that's how we even have our friends right now in our daily lives. Because like, honestly, I'm just gonna say, like, majority of my friends, they come from church.
Mine too,
The majority of my friends, maybe like a good 90% solid, like most of them come from church, and most of them are also from TC Youth. So
That's awesome.
And it all started because I was able to sit with them. Basically, I was able to
just come in and belong.
Join their community, and I just felt like I belonged since the first day. Even
that's
though it was
so
online
beautiful.
through Zoom. So
I love it.
even though it
I'm
was
so proud
online
of you.
through Zoom.
Get over here, buddy.
Thank you.
What about you, Chloe?
Oh, for me, I think it's the we not me value, just like the whole thing of community and just how we don't grow on our own individually, but together, and just that it's a very outside of church. I don't feel like I have again many.
Yeah, I feel like every time we come to
Yeah.
church, we're just
And-
like nurtured.
Yeah,
makes
and
sense.
just like the feeling of togetherness that it just feels like kind of like home to me, and it's very and I find that through the people that I'm around here, and just like being with other people and not being alone through and walking with each other through our journeys with Christ. It's very
It just
for
comes
me,
naturally.
Yeah.
That's pretty
That's a
interesting
good
for me to hear from you, Chloe, because you're a pretty strong, independent young lady. So to hear the value that has impacted you the most is we, not me.
Yeah.
That's really awesome, because that means that God has kind of like taken you on a journey from being like strong and on your own to being a part of something bigger and having those close relationships. So that's so cool. Yeah. Yeah, and your hair's so long now. You're so tall. Yeah, I remember when your hair was all short. And you just,
I know,
Anyway,
she's a grown.
I know, they're grown up.
Grown girl. She just graduated.
This is insane.
I know, it is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I can't handle it. You were so
start crying.
quiet when you were little too. When you were little, you were like this big, and you were just so, maybe not this big, maybe this big. You were so quiet and so adorable, and I'd always come up to you and I'd say, hey, Chloe, and you'd go like this.
Yeah, the
I feel
smile.
like I still do that sometimes. I've become a lot more, just
Yeah.
open. I feel like
Open?
people have said that.
Like a
that's
like
true,
a like a caterpillar in a cocoon, coming out as a butterfly, opening your wings.
That's
I
a
love
good
it.
analogy.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Right.
Yeah, no, I love youth. I think youth is incredible. Yeah,
For
you guys are just you guys are a whole nother level of quality, of excellence, of integrity. You know, I'm so happy because our son now is 12.
Oh yeah, he's about to join you.
And he is joining. He's at that incredible age where he's not a little kid and he's not a teenager, and he is trying to figure out what he is, and
Kind of.
in the
he'll
mid,
figure it out soon.
Yeah.
But I love it that he has all these incredible role models to look up to, all of these strong women of the Lord,
Amen.
and all these strong men of the Lord who aren't on camera right now.
But they're there.
They're there. They're
there.
here.
The behind the scenes people.
Yeah, I just think that that's so cool that he has already a great home and a great community.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm so proud of what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
He did join our getaway retreat.
He did.
He fit right in, honestly.
Yeah, he loved it.
He loved it. He was having so much fun with his
Yeah.
friends.
He had a
Made a lot
great
of
time.
friends.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. So we've talked about the different ministries here in TC. I was going to say TCU as well. we've talked about all the different ministries here, but I kind of want to know more. We kind of want to know more about you too. Relating to the church, obviously. Relating to your role here too.
Sure.
Okay.
You're right.
I thought we were talking about like personal life stuff. Favorite colors.
Favorite colors.
So, what initially inspired you to become pastors in the first place, or like inspired you to take on this role? Because it takes a lot of it takes great commitment.
Yeah.
It takes great commitment.
What
initially?
What made you want to be a pastor, Janay?
Well, I never was really like trying to be a pastor. I grew up in a very quite chaotic environment and family, and so my grandma was the one that really showed me Jesus and I remember asking questions, and so at a very young age, so probably around 4, I accepted Jesus into my heart, and I think, I mean, that really kind of helped through a lot of my life because I knew I wasn't alone, like he was there.
Yeah.
I had purpose beyond what I could see, you know what I mean? But then, honestly, from the time I was little, I just loved being with people at their worst. Like, I don't know. My heart had a lot of empathy. And so I was like always just trying to figure out how to use that. And so I worked with behaviorally, emotionally disturbed kids in the States. A lot of like troubled youth, maybe they had post-traumatic stress, maybe they had been abused in different ways, witnessed murders, neglected, like a lot of different things. And so I worked with them and I loved that. I loved that.
You loved helping
I went to nursing school. You know what I was like trying that. I'd be like halfway through, I'm like, I don't want to be a nurse. I was like, I'd rather just sit with someone in the hospital room. I don't think I want to like do this. But yeah, I don't know if, yes, maybe the weight is different, but I feel like I've been the same way no matter where I was. So if I was working at the deli, that was my first job. You know what I mean? I was going to be loving those people. Yeah. Or now here I'm a pastor in a different country than my country of origin. Yeah. And our church has grown quite large and now it's spread out to different places. And I still feel that same way. I'm like, I just love people and want to journey with them. And so I feel like it's been so amazing because where maybe I thought maybe I would get to do one thing that was a passion, I also have a passion for music, for writing, and those kind of things. But now, it's like God opened the door. I get to do all of that, and it's pretty amazing. Yeah, here at our church. So I get to do all those things and be with people and journey with them through some of the hardest spaces and places, and get to celebrate with them in really great times, and get to just raise up other leaders and people and see their dreams come true. And so I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Yeah. So it all came about really just being like, God, what do you want to do? And then of course I meet Alex. And
so what you just said, Janay, is so important. I don't want anyone to miss that. Is we all kind of think I have these dreams and these ambitions of what I want to accomplish with my life. And because we haven't seen it done or experienced it in the church, sometimes we think it has to happen outside the church. But God wants to make your visions and dreams come true in his church. Or just like what you were saying, you wanted to write and you wanted to do music. And you could have totally ran with that and been like, this is going to be my thing. But God showed you how it could be your thing and his thing in his body. And I think that if we hold all of our dreams and our ambitions before God like this and say, this is what we want, we can let him be the one to make it come into fruition. We don't have to force it or fight for it, but we just hold it before him and say, this is what I'm passionate about, and let him unlock it in his church.
Yeah.
Right?
And I would even say, even adding on to that is like saying, God, if you created me, like, you know what I mean? You see this passion and desire, you see this gift, like how, like invite him into this process, right? He's created us for a reason. So like, what do you want to do? Like, what could this look like? Like, and dream like with him, allow him, because I think that helps our hearts align. Because really, I think the best things come from surrendering and just saying, God, what do you want to do? Yeah. Like, I'm with you instead of dragging him along with us. You know what I mean? We're saying, I'm with you. you know me better than I know myself.
Right.
You know what's going to make me happy and what is going to bring the most fruit where I'll get to see. So what could this look like?
Yeah.
And then go along with him. And then it's just surrendering to it every day, because it's always going to happen. Like, we're going to want what we want, like in the time we want it and how we want it. We saw it look like, right? We saw it look like that way for this person. We read a book, we read something, we see an interview on YouTube, whatever, and we're like, it needs to happen that way. And God's like, it doesn't need to happen that way. Right?
That is so lame. Because this is why. It's just by doing that, you're already settling.
It's like you're limiting.
You're limiting what you could be getting.
Yeah.
You know what I always think about is like in the lottery system, you know, when you buy the ticket for the lottery, right? Yeah. They always have a thing where if you win, they'll give you an offer. They'll say, hey, you could either take the full 10 million and we'll pay it out to you for every year. We'll give you $1 million for the next 10 years. Or we'll pay you out now for 2 million, but we'll give it to you instantly. And people take the 2 million all the time. Because they're like, I'd rather have all that money right now. And I feel like that's what we do with God when we compare other things happening around us. It's like, instead of waiting and getting the very best thing for your life, we're like, I want that right now.
Like, we're so greedy about
That's it. We're like, I'd rather have this right now than actually receive his best. And that is the most depressing thing in the world.
And wouldn't you say, babe, and I'll end with this, and I mean, really, because we're tied, we know our story, but I think for us, we were never really trying to be like lead pastors.
We weren't. Well, I wasn't just like you. No. I didn't even want to be a pastor. I just wanted to help people.
Yeah. So I think it just was like, well, God, when He gave something to us, and just ask Him, what does this look like? Where would you want us to be? In all the little things, whether that was sweeping the floor or being serving in this way or doing this over here, and then I think just to the best of our ability and surrendering it and doing it for Him instead of other things, I just feel like more and more kind of doors open, and then it led us to this place.
Yeah.
Because the first job I had at a church, I was cleaning toilets, scrubbing them on my hands and knees with a short little screw, not a long brush, like where the water doesn't get on you. You know what I'm saying? Like where my hands inside the bowl scrubbing toilets. And I did that. I vacuumed the floors. I picked up, we rented to our church to a school, a preschool, and you have all these little mangy little criminal kids stepping on crackers that are getting in the ground and everything. So I'm having to like get these little cracker crumbs out of the ground. I did that every single day. And I remember I would look at other people working for the church, and they would be like, the pastor would call them up and be like, hey, how would you like to come help me prepare a sermon? And I'd be like, look, I'm scrubbing toilets. And he's doing all this cool stuff, right? But the thing is God showed me that service in the kingdom is service, bottom line. There's no greater position of service. And we should be all honored wherever we serve. And I'm not serving for people anyway, I'm serving unto Him. Right? And when we have that perspective, then He will unlock things and give you experiences and opportunities that are unreal. Right? So I feel like that's, for me, that's my accountability. I always want to keep that. I never want to be too good for this or too busy for this. I always want to be able to just serve with the right heart. And it can be tricky, but I feel like that's got to be something that stays true whenever you're following Jesus.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. And now we're here.
So that's what happened.
The heart to help and to serve just led you to coming.
Sometimes I miss it. I miss vacuuming floors. It's so much easier.
Really?
Oh, it's so much easier. Oh, Lordy, yes.
Yeah, but they had really cool vacuums. It was like Ghostbuster vacuums. They were on your vacuum,
cool.
like backpack.
Except that after office hours, they turned off all the AC, and you're in there with a hot vacuum on your back, sweating, just dripping.
Right.
You know, and then you know what happened? This is what would happen. I'm going to tell you what would happen. Listen to this.
Wait, you're going to be off camera.
No, look at me. Can you get this on camera? So imagine you got a cord on your back, right?
Okay.
And the vacuum on the cord is on your back, and you're trying to walk around tables and chairs, and the cord is following you, but you're not paying attention, right?
Yeah.
So then the cord gets wrapped around a chair, and then it pulls out of the wall, and then you have to stop vacuuming. Then you have to go back, plug it back in, go back again. You do this like 5 times every time.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and it was crazy. But believe it or not, vacuuming floors is easier than helping people that
Yeah.
are crazy sometimes.
We're all crazy sometimes. That's the thing.
No, it's okay.
People,
Yeah.
like we are broken and we all have different things, and God's refining us, right? But it doesn't always make it easy. So serving people and loving on people and journeying with people, we're messy.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's tiring. But that's why we can't do it in our own strength, right? Like we gotta say, God, I need your love because I don't want to love this person right now. Or like, I'm tired, like I need your strength. All those different things.
Yeah.
I need your creativity. I need your wisdom. And he's right there to supply when he's asked us to do something. He's like, let me be your source.
Yeah. So, do you guys have any other like fun or interesting stories about when you've of your time as pastors? Like anything?
It could be like hilarious stories.
Yes.
Or
Just
chaotic ones.
I have so many. I
if
don't know.
anything,
Give us some. Give us some.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you're gonna say, because I'll say if you can think of them. I mean, I know I like have a lot, but I don't know. They're not coming to mind. It's just like when someone's like a song, and I'm like, I can't think of one song.
I mean, so like, there's stories where early in ministry where we're trying to do things that are cool. Like, okay, so here you go. Some of you guys don't know this. Janay used to be a youth pastor. In fact, Jordan was a youth group kid in her youth group.
So anyone that's listening, though,
So
they may
he
not
was
know
one of the
Jordan.
teens.
So Jordan now is a campus pastor. He was the youth pastor here at TC before. Now he's a
And he
campus
started
pastor.
going to youth group
But
with Janay when he was
my
14.
Youth kid back in California.
So Janay was a youth pastor, and I was the associate pastor of our church when Janay was a youth pastor.
Okay.
And she was sick, she was pregnant, so she asked me to come preach. And I had this, you don't want me to tell the story?
I don't know if this is.
Listen, this is a great story.
Baby.
So basically,
See where this is headed.
so I'm not going to tell the whole punchline because it's super inappropriate, and there might be under 13 watching. So it's like, so she's like, babe, I need you to preach. And I was like, okay, no problem. So I write this message, and I think the message is going to be like incredible, you know, because when you're young and you're in ministry, you think everything you're going to do is incredible.
That's so true.
Right? You know, the first time you lead a song, you're like, the whole world's going to collapse. Like, it's like, you know, hearts are going to be on fire. You know what I mean? You're like, so anyway, so I get up there, and my message was, I can still remember, it was cleaning out the cachet. Right? Because obviously sometimes teenager guys, you know, they struggle with the internet inappropriate viewing material, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they're always kind of erasing their history, you know, they're like, oh, I gotta erase my history. So that was the name of the message, cleaning out the cachet. It was all about cleaning out your mind, right? Because sometimes when you see things, you gotta clean out the history so God can show you new things, right? So I know, right? It's a great message. So the illustration for that was when you know how when you type into Google and it gives you the automated search suggestions? Okay. So I thought, oh, I'm going to show a video of a bunch of search suggestions to kind of illustrate the point. Because if you don't clean out your mind, you'll always default to the past, to the history.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I found a video, and it's like really funny. It's like, why does my cat, you know, smell? Or what is the color of moon rocks? You know, it's a bunch of random things. And it's all very innocent. It's all very innocent, very teen friendly.
Yeah.
Until.
And so I find this video, I download it, but I don't watch the whole thing. It's a 15-second video. I watch the first 10 seconds. I'm like, chukup, bro. Like, that's enough. Like, I don't need to know the whole thing.
Okay.
And as it goes on from like, why does my cat smell and why is the moon yellow or whatever, it goes to start going really inappropriate.
Yeah.
Like, what happens if you do blank? And it's like really, can I say at least some of them? Okay, I won't say any of them.
No.
Okay.
I think we gotta keep this family
Super
friendly.
inappropriate. Now, this is the best part, is I preached the halfway message. I said, let me show this illustration. I go sit on the front row so I can watch the illustration with, you know, all the youth group, right? The guy in the back, the media person, he's not paying attention. He's like on Instagram or something, so he doesn't see what's happening on the video. I'm in the front row, and so this is what happened. We're watching the video, and all the kids like this. Oh, kids watching the video.
Everyone is panicking.
Everybody's panicking in the room. All the leaders.
Like,
and I'm thinking, looking behind me, I'm like, dude, turn this video off, and he's just back there like this, like, oh no, you know, like scrolling. I'm like, oh my gosh. And that's what happens when my wife asked me to cover for her when she was sick.
Did Jordan see that happen?
Jordan was probably there.
I'm sure. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe we
he
can
was
ask
there.
him about it.
Yeah, Jordan was on the worship team.
Yeah,
there.
Jordan was on the worship team. He used to wear little Argyle sweaters and tight red jeans.
Suspenders. Yeah, so cute.
I don't want. Okay.
So cute.
Wow, I can't even imagine him that young.
Yeah. I mean,
So many years ago.
There's so many
Crazy
things.
stories.
Life is crazy,
Life
and
is
so
crazy.
so is being in ministry and just doing life because we're all people. So embarrassing things happen, crazy things happen. We're just out here holding on to Jesus for dear life.
Yeah. Honestly, that's a great way to put it. We're just holding on to Jesus for dear life.
Yeah.
It's like, what's happening?
Right.
I don't know. So, but yeah, it's good. But it's been great. I love it. I love having fun, right? I love dance parties. I love just being able to like have fun together as a community too.
Yeah.
And cheer each other on and I don't know.
What
It's all
would you-
those things.
What would you say is like the part of being a pastor that you love most, like the most fulfilling part of it?
Ooh, I mean, there's a lot of different things, but there is nothing like getting to see people transform.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
I was gonna
it's
say like seeing you and you growing like that, and seeing you guys, seeing you how little you used to be, and your little brother. Are you kidding me? Like, that's the best.
yeah, just seeing people's like lives change, and everyone has different time frames, but like how incredible. And I'm just always like, I can't believe I get to be a part of this. Like this is what I get to do. It doesn't feel like a job. Like, I'm not gonna say it's always easy because I think what we do can be really difficult.
Yeah.
But man, it's just like the best.
Yeah.
When I get to see someone come in and I know their story and what they came from and like how hurt or broken or like what needed to be healed, and seeing them and their face light up and see them have hope and purpose, and I'm just like, this is
It's
incredible.
unreal.
So
I totally agree, babe.
yeah.
So I feel like we've went through the difficulties, and we've also gone through like the upsides of being a pastor. I think we've talked about that. But I just want to ask, like, how do you balance that? How do you balance the demands of ministry with your personal life, being a pastor? I mean, I'm sure it's a thoroughly demanding position.
Yeah.
Being pastors and then being parents and then taking
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the self-care.
Yeah.
So how do
would
you
you-
maintain like a healthy work-life balance? Or would you really consider this like being like just a work thing? Or is it
It's
for a life thing, like being a pastor? Is it
Yeah,
like
it's
purely a work thing, or?
I mean, I would definitely say it's more of like a lifestyle, a life thing.
Yeah.
Our kids are
A part of it.
in it too, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean it's not difficult.
And that
with
doesn't mean you don't have
sometimes.
boundaries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Boundaries are so important.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like when you answer your phone, when you put down your phone, when you tell people no. You know, there was a time when I was so slammed, I was so busy, and we have one day off a week, and it's Mondays, and that's our day of rest. It's like our Sabbath day, where we usually just try to do things that energize us, hang out with family, you know what I mean? And there would be, like, I remember one time someone came up to me, they wanted to meet with me over a couple different times, and I was slammed. Every day of my week was slammed. I had no meeting from like early morning until night. And I showed them my calendar because they were upset. They're like, come on, you can't be that busy. I said, I'm not trying to be busy, but look. And then I had my Mondays open. And then they go, look right there, Monday, you can meet with me.
Wow.
Right? And I was like, and I remember saying like, I can't. I'm so sorry. I can't. And sometimes it takes like disappointing people to keep boundaries in place.
Of course.
But you have to have boundaries in your life. And I think God created us for boundaries. He created us for limitations to tell ourselves no, so we could be refreshed by Him and we could have time for other things that He created us for.
Yeah. And I think seasons, remembering that there's seasons, so not everything needs to be in every season. Sometimes what one season brought and what you carried then isn't for the next season. And so you kind of have to, I've learned, especially when I started having kids, like I had to kind of pray a lot and check back in with God and being like, is this do I need to do these 3 groups or this, and this, like now? Like maybe it looks different in this season. and be okay with it if it did, and let go of things. And then, and that doesn't mean those things were bad. It just means they're not for this season. And being okay with that, also letting certain things die so other things can live.
Amen.
And be brought to life.
Wow.
And
That's
just
great, Janay.
being
That's
okay with that.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Wow. Okay, that sounds like more of like a big sister talk happening. But like, wow. Okay, that was great to hear. Yeah. So to continue with that, to go further into that, what advice would you give to someone? I think you guys are like way more than experienced enough to answer to this question. Okay. But what advice would you give to someone who is considering a career in ministry or like trying to become a pastor too? Yeah. What advice? Because you guys have mentioned that it was kind of your calling, right? Like God showed you the light that, hey, you have all these amazing passions and you have all this ability to do writing, singing right?
Yeah,
music,
I love
all of
music,
that.
I love writing. Yeah.
And you love to help people, and hey, you can do all of it here in this place. So what advice would you give?
Don't chase opportunity and get discipled by somebody.
Yeah, that's great.
Don't chase opportunity. Sometimes our ambition can take over. There's nothing wrong with having ambition. There's a good quote that ambition is okay as long as it's always riding in the back seat. So we don't let ambition drive the car. But I would say don't let ambition rule you. Don't think every opportunity is a God opportunity just because it's good or it's attractive. And then also get discipled. Choose somebody you trust. Find a leader. Find a mentor. And say, I want you to challenge me. I want you to help me grow. I want you to speak life into me. I want to learn from you. Find somebody, and I would say if you want to be in ministry, find someone in ministry. Find a pastor, find a leader that's committed to that, and really trust them. Because there's going to be times when they tell you things about you, about your character that you don't like. And you're going to walk away and this is what you do when you go home. You're like, they don't even know me. How could they say that? I can't believe they responded that way. Oh my gosh, I just feel like, they're just, what's that word that people always say now with gaslighting? They're gaslighting me. You know what I mean? Like that's always what's going to happen, dude. And I'm telling you, that's the temptation. But that will destroy your potential and your ability to be in ministry. Because ministry is all about vulnerability, honesty, and constant growth. Because that's what the Holy Spirit wants. In Chronicles, it says that the eyes of the Lord search to and fro across the globe, finding for a humble heart. So when we have that heart of humility where we submit ourselves to growth and development, even when it's painful, even when it's hard, God sees that and He opened doors for that. And He creates opportunity for that.
Yeah, that's great, babe. Yeah, I would say to add to that, because I completely agree with all of that, I just think the humility thing is huge, and you really can't chase a platform. And I think if you want to be in ministry, if it's going to be healthy, you have to get used to knowing that you are not people's savior. We point people
and
to
Jesus.
The Savior.
Yeah, you're leading them.
Yes, we are not like you. I think a healthy leader and a healthy minister knows that they can't do things in their own strength. And that's the most mature. You cannot do it. I cannot do it. Alex cannot do what we're doing in our own strength. We need God. We need His power and His Spirit to be working in our lives, and His strength and His love and all those things. And so, and just get comfortable being real and knowing that, and not taking on the thing of feeling like you have to act like it's all together. There will always be something for all of us that God is refining and working on. And that's okay. That doesn't mean we can't make great choices and that stuff, but the dependence on God is huge. And that just as a minister, you get comfortable. Our job is to point people to Jesus, is to help them have a relationship, not tell them and give them all of our wisdom or what we do, or give them 10 steps. It's to help them and journey with them so that they can have a relationship on their own. And sometimes that can be hard because people want the platform.
Yeah.
They want people to look at them and
they want to be needed
and feel like, but that's not what it's about. And as soon as that starts, it's dangerous. That's dangerous. So
And anything, it's dangerous for you because
exactly.
you're gonna get to a point in ministry where you're like, oh, I'm so needed, and look at me, I'm on the platform, and guess what? It's still not gonna satisfy your soul. Your heart is still gonna feel dissatisfied. You're still gonna feel empty. You're still gonna feel like you felt before. And then you're going to be disenfranchised. Yeah. But now this is the difference. Now people are depending on you because you're a pastor.
Right.
And you don't get to feel disenfranchised. You don't get to feel unsatisfied because they're depending on you to lead them and to love them and to care for them. Yeah. So not only are you hurting yourself now because of this wrong attitude from the beginning, searching this platform, you're hurting yourself. You're going to hurt everyone else that has followed you there.
Yeah.
And that's what's hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Jesus already came.
Yeah.
Jesus already came.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
He came.
You don't have to be Jesus.
He did the work.
You just
It's
be
like,
obedient.
We just gonna be like, that's Jesus. You know what I mean? Not me. So
You don't have
that's
to
what
be
I'd say.
Jesus. Just be humble.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Kendrick.
Okay, that's great. Right. So I think you guys have mentioned how like you have such an how as a pastor you're quote unquote like supposed to have like an impact on people's relationship with Jesus and kind of to lead them towards that direction.
Yep.
But you are not trying to
Be Jesus.
Be Jesus.
No,
Yeah, that's I guess. Yeah, that's how you can put it. But obviously, on top of leading people towards that direction, you are still on the journey of going there too, right?
Yeah.
On your personal voyage, on your personal journey to go there. And I just want to ask, like, what does your relationship, your personal relationship with Jesus look like, and how that has impacted your everyday life? I mean, we have obviously heard how it's impacted your life as a pastor, but as a mom, as a dad, or as, do you guys have siblings maybe?
Yeah, I have a lot,
No, it's a great question.
It is? You want
me to go first?
I mean, sure.
Sure. So I think that's a great question, by the way. That is like an MVP Harvard Business School question. I think it's always remembering that you're a son or daughter first, right? Because even though I'm a dad,
That's true.
I'm first. Before I was a dad, I was a son. Even though I'm a husband, before I was a husband, I was a son. Before I was a pastor, I was a son. Yeah. And going back to that my Father in heaven is always there to care for me. He's always there for me. He's not there to just make me a better dad so I'm a better dad for my kids. He's there because he really loves me and cares for me. It's not for what I'm going to do for him. It's because he genuinely has an interest in me, a care for me, a commitment to me. And knowing that and approaching my spiritual journey with that, I think has been really healthy. And then I would say, make sure that relationship is all the time. It's not segmented to like a Devo in the morning. Yeah. But it's all the time. Talking to him, listening to him. When you're in the car and you're frustrated, asking him, man, why does this frustrate me so much? Right? When you're having a hard time in your marriage because even though your wife is perfect, you just struggle as a husband. You going to him and just being like, God, give me strength. How do I figure this out? It's all of that. It's always keeping him in that and knowing, just like, I don't know if any of you, who has a good relationship with their dad? Anybody have a good relationship with no, nobody in here? No.
I had a good
You had a good relationship
with
Coco, right?
Dad,
I'm sure you felt like no matter what you were doing, you could always ask him for advice.
Yeah.
In most cases.
In most cases.
Like,
maybe
even
not
with boys?
always.
No?
No.
Okay.
Not that one.
So I think that whatever we have as a picture of a father, God is the perfect father.
That's true.
And we could go to him about anything. And he is there to listen. He is there to speak. He is there to comfort us. And I feel like approaching that is so pivotal for a healthy spiritual relationship with him.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the exact same thing.
No salt?
No.
No pepper?
No,
I
anything? I am constantly talking to God.
Him,
yeah. I'm like, in the morning, I probably look, if you saw me in my house, maybe you would see me babbling. I try to control it more like with my lips if I'm out in public, but I'm constantly in conversation with God. I'm like, I can't do it. What's going on? I'm like, Lord, I don't know.
True.
I'm just always talking about it, even at my worst. And I think that's one of the great things when you do that, because he becomes so real and so present to you. And just knowing that, I mean, when I'm struggling and I have to wrestle things out with him, because I'm like, I don't want to do this, or I don't get this, or you know what I mean? Like, I never don't go to him. Like, I know he's right there ready to be like, okay, I hear you. And so I'm just constantly with my kids, when I'm like frustrated or I'm like, I don't know what to do, with Alex, with just everything, creativity, when I'm creating something, it's just this constant conversation. And I think it helps my awareness of him be very on. You know what I mean? Like he's there.
Yeah.
So, which I think helps, because when our awareness is very open, like he's like there, then we're able to be led by him.
Amen.
Wow. Yeah.
So I think that for me, if I could say the one thing, the biggest thing that adds to my, because there's lots of things, but that would be it. It's this constant conversation.
And let me just shout
that brings
that out,
on awareness. Yeah.
Because I was just thinking, I completely agree, but that might be hard for someone else.
Sure.
So it's like, it starts small.
Right.
You know, just being aware with him in the morning, being aware with him when you are praying, like the active, like holding your hands head bowed prayer, right? Just start learning what that awareness feels like, and then just discipline yourself to take that into other parts of your day, other parts of your work week, other parts of your personal life. And before you'll know it, it will be infectious, because it will just transcend into everything.
Like I think it's like just a big question, right? So like if you're at school, you know what I mean, and you're having a hard time, it's like actually asking him, what friends should I have? It's just like actually inviting him into,
just in any,
it helps bring an awareness, instead of being like, oh, I'm only going to pray this time in the morning, or I'm going to, when I really think I need it. It's just actually asking him.
I know.
Like, do you think this is a good guy?
That's so good there.
God? Like, I really like him. I have a crush. He's like really cute. But like, is this, you know what I mean? Or
should I go with all my friends to this nightclub and take ecstasy? I don't know. Right? It's like, so it's like you gotta like, because, okay, come on. I know it's all real out there, girls. Come on. I know the pressure. Don't try to pretend. You're not always just saying, okay, God, help me read the Bible. You know what I mean?
What school you should go to? I think that's a great starting point, is just asking him questions in all areas of your life.
Yeah.
I think that helps start the conversation, because he's there to talk about it. And if we could start asking those, I think more and more it can catch on in all the things. And then there's a dialogue.
That makes so much sense. So that makes, so like from there, that's where you start your journey with him.
Yeah, and then it can just open up to more and more. Then you just have a constant, like he is your best friend, just like you would call your best friend and talk about all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? It's not like you talk about one time. You're like talking about, I don't know, this morning I couldn't find the toilet paper, and then you're like, I was there. You're calling them when you're stuck. You know what I mean? It's all the things. So,
that's great.
Yep.
Well, this has been an amazing talk. That was sort of a roller coaster of a talk. I mean, we laughed at some points. We had really a deep conversation about God.
I think it was one of my favorite episodes.
Probably,
That's nice.
Probably
so
one of
sweet.
mine too.
I can't take it. Look at me. You're adorable.
Okay, so once again, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to come on here.
Yep.
Yes,
We appreciate
thank you for having us.
Your big sister advice.
Yes.
You too.
Anytime. I know.
You guys have been great. Thank you so much. And
That brings it end to our episode. We will see you one last time.
we will see you one last time after this next time. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening, and see you all next time.
Bye.